With over a dozen films, the Dragon Ball Z movie catalog ranges wildly in quality, from lackluster to nearly perfect. I'll be going over and reviewing the full series, giving each movie a rating based on enjoyability, storytelling, and my overall impressions about each film. With that said, let's get into it. The first movie is Dead Zone, and admittedly, I've never seen the full movie. It kicks off with Piccolo chilling by himself, screaming for some unknown reason. But out of nowhere, this squad of villains flies in and straight up jumps him, beating Piccolo down mercilessly until they leave him folded on the ground. Now, it cuts to Kami on the lookout observing things, and he says, "I can't believe what I'm seeing. Piccolo's been killed by Goku." Which makes no sense, cause we clearly just saw some rogue enemies take out Piccolo, and Goku is nowhere to be found. This seems like a mistake unless there's an explanation later. Also, if Piccolo was killed, he would be dead too. Anyways, after that confusing scene, the iconic Dragon Ball Z movie theme song drops. This brings back a lot of nostalgia, having grown up watching these movies as a kid a bunch. The scene transitions to Gohan hanging out with Chi-Chi and Ox King at their house, when all of a sudden, the same enemies who attacked Piccolo earlier roll up on him. They quickly overpower Chi-Chi and Ox King, knocking them unconscious, and kidnap Gohan. Goku heads to Roshi's island and asks Bulma for the Dragon Radar so he can track down where Gohan's been taken. Now, we get some comedic moments with Gohan outsmarting his dim-witted captors before the leader named Garlic Jr. finally makes his wish for immortality with the Dragon Balls. Just as it seems all hope is lost, Goku pulls up with Kami to confront Garlic Jr. We learn that back in the day, Garlic Jr.'s father competed with Kami over who would be appointed as Earth's guardian. But Kami won out, creating long-time beef between the families. Goku heads into Garlic Jr.'s lair to try and find Gohan, when Garlic Jr.'s henchmen suddenly transform into more powerful, massive forms. What follows is Goku fending off the enemies until Piccolo and Krillin arrive as backup. We get choreographed scenes with Goku using his power pole to counter their swords, with smooth dodges and strikes, and Piccolo fighting one of the enemies. But Garlic Jr. powers up even further, proving too much for them to handle. It's not until Goku and Piccolo take off weighted training clothes that they finally overpower and defeat Buff Garlic Jr. in an explosive final clash. But hilariously, as soon as the battle ends, Goku and Piccolo turn on each other for a brief sparring match. In the climax, little Gohan unleashes a massive yell that pushes Garlic Jr. back into the Dead Zone portal, saving the day. Overall, this movie has strong nostalgic value, and I can appreciate some of the parallels to the Saiyan saga. Gohan being kidnapped, Goku and Piccolo joining forces, and them taking off their training clothes. But the plot itself feels derivative and kinda boring. The gritty art style and fight choreography was pretty good though, so I've gotta give Dead Zone a 5 out of 10. It satisfies the inner DBZ fan in me, but I probably won't come back to watch it. The World's Strongest movie starts off with Oolong and Gohan going off to look for the Dragon Balls, but some mysterious villain already snatched them up, using them to melt the icy tomb holding Dr. Willow and wake him up from his long slumber. Out of nowhere, these Cybermen-looking monsters pop out of the ground and start wailing on Gohan until Piccolo shows up to fold all of them. Now, it cuts to a scene with Chi-Chi and Goku talking about Gohan.
Stop worrying. Gohan's a great kid. You just gotta let him be who he is, Chi-Chi.
And people say Goku is a bad father. Now, it goes to this random scene which I'm assuming is Gohan's thoughts. However, what's interesting is Gohan seems to have a memory of Piccolo sacrificing himself for him, making this movie take place sometime after the defeat of the Saiyans and before they go to Namek, since Gohan still has his wild haircut and not his bowl cut. Anyways, the Cybermen squad pulls up to Roshi's house, taking him to Dr. Willow by force after threatening Bulma, which leads to Goku heading out to track them down. Willow's scientists test Roshi's strength with some bioengineered warriors, and he puts up a good fight before getting overwhelmed. With Roshi defeated, Bulma tells them Goku is now the strongest, which gets Willow's interest. This is where we learn of their plan, with them wanting to put Willow's brain into the strongest warrior on Earth. Goku arrives and takes on the Bio Warriors, using Kaioken to bust through one of them. But two enemies remain, freezing Goku in place before Gohan and Krillin pull up. They get shocked trying to save Goku, but Goku powers up with Kaioken again to break free and knock out the two enemies. After chatting with Willow, some red beam traps Goku, and a brainwashed Piccolo appears. Goku is able to free himself eventually, and we get a battle between Piccolo and Goku here. They go at it, with Gohan trying to snap Piccolo out of his mind control occasionally. However, with the other scientists destroying some type of machine, Bulma is freed. Then Roshi swoops in to free Piccolo as well. Dr. Willow reveals himself as a giant robot brain thing, taking out the Z-Fighters one by one until Goku is the last man standing. Goku hits him with a Kamehameha Kaioken ×3, recreating that iconic beam clash from the Saiyan saga against Vegeta. Willow still won't go down, so Goku whips out the Spirit Bomb as his last resort. Similar to the fight against Vegeta, he isn't able to use the attack right away. However, with the help of Piccolo, Gohan, and Krillin distracting Willow, Goku is able to get back and launch the Spirit Bomb, defeating Willow for good. This movie is about the same as the previous, taking cues from the canon version of events, but with a spin. I'll rate this movie like a 5.5. Both Dead Zone and World's Strongest are middle-of-the-road DBZ flicks, but the World's Strongest has enough memorable sequences for me to bump it up half a point over Dead Zone. It's a good time for fans, just don't expect anything groundbreaking. Now, The Tree of Might was actually the first DBZ flick I ever saw too, so it's got a special place in my heart. The plot of the movie is about a group of aliens visiting Earth to plant the Tree of Might, a plant that grants cosmic power by draining the Earth's life force. A pretty interesting concept, so let's see how the story goes. It opens with the squad camping, when something crash lands and causes a forest fire. We see little Gohan and Krillin put in that work stopping the flames, and Gohan rescues this dragon who becomes his pet Icarus. I like Icarus in these movies, he's a real one. They use the Dragon Balls to restore the forest, and we see Tien and Chaozu for the first time in these movies. I love to see the whole Z-Fighter squad involved, but meanwhile, Turles and his goons are en route to mess everything up. There's a hilarious scene where Chi-Chi is scolding Gohan to get rid of Icarus, and Goku looks like a kid stuck between arguing parents. Gohan asking to keep a dragon is basically the equivalent to asking one of our parents for a dog as a kid. Goku finds a compromise to keep Icarus nearby by keeping him in this cave, and people say Goku's a bad dad. But while that's happening, Turles' group starts planting the Tree of Might, draining life energy from the Earth. As the gang all sit down making fun of Yamcha, Icarus tries warning Gohan, but he doesn't understand until King Kai tells Goku what's up. Now, the whole crew is ready to throw down. I like seeing the Z-Fighters get shine before later sagas left them behind. The squad confronts Turles' men, and we get some skirmishes with each character. For some reason, this group of villains is giving me Ginyu Force vibes. Turles makes his debut, and he tries to force Gohan to join him, until Goku intervenes. He turns Gohan into a great ape, leading to a father-son showdown. For most of it, it's Goku trying to get Gohan to stop his rampage. It doesn't work until Icarus swoops in. There's a wholesome moment of Ape Gohan playing gently with Icarus before Turles provokes him again, leading to Goku cutting off his tail. Goku then bodies Turles' whole squad before pursuing the leader himself. After eating the tree's fruit, Turles clowns even Kaioken ×20 Goku. But Goku gathers energy for the Spirit Bomb as the squad distracts Turles. He finally destroys the tree and defeats Turles, saving the planet. Overall, this movie has great action alongside funny and heartfelt moments. The downtime is entertaining too. I'd rate Tree of Might a solid 7 out of 10. It's a nostalgic favorite with memorable characters like Icarus and Turles. Now, the Lord Slug movie. It opens with Gohan hilariously whistling and dancing around an annoyed Piccolo. But then a rogue planet heads towards Earth, blowing up before impact but leaving a spaceship behind. We're introduced to Slug's goons, including another Dodoria lookalike. How many times they gonna recycle this character design? We see an elderly Slug before he wishes for youth, giving me major King Piccolo saga vibes. Gohan fights the goons until Piccolo pulls up for an ice-cold 1v1, brutally snapping dude's hand and kicking him off the roof like a savage. Him getting kicked off the roof and re-entering the building had me thinking about the hilarious abridged version of this part. Eventually, Piccolo disposes of him in the most menacing way. No mercy. But Gohan gets knocked out cold, mirroring when Recoome snapped his neck on Namek. Piccolo saves Gohan as Goku and Krillin arrive. Goku stylishly dispatches the first opponent before deflecting a blast down another's throat. Goku was looking like he was him for a second before he said this line.
"Thanks, but no thanks. We're both self-employed."
Anyways, the fight against Lord Slug begins with Krillin and Goku getting tossed around. Somehow, Goku finds the strength to transform into what fans call false Super Saiyan, gaining the upper hand on Slug. But after Slug replaces his broken arm and grows giant-sized, it's an epic fight. I always liked how Dragon Ball handles fights between giants, and this is no exception. But Gohan's whistling combined with Goku's Kaioken finally defeat Lord Slug. Overall, I'd rate Lord Slug around a 5.5 out of 10. Some cool fights, but uneven pacing and weird plot points like the whistling made it mid-tier. The best part about the movie to me was the last 10 minutes, mainly for the transformation and the giant Slug vs. Goku moments. The Cooler's Revenge movie is where I think these DBZ movies started coming into their own. Also, I think this is the best start to one of these movies so far. It kicks off with some hype music as it recreates the events of Planet Vegeta's doom, but also throwing in Cooler in the mix, perfectly blending canon and non-canon. Action kicks off quick when the squad's camping trip gets ambushed, with Gohan and Krillin getting knocked out fast. Now, Goku makes his introduction, taking on the three enemies, and the action is pretty solid here, along with the music playing in the background. After this, Cooler arrives with a fresh design. First thing he does is try to take Gohan out, but Goku saves him, and they get away through the water. The group finds wounded Goku and sends Gohan to get Senzu beans. But drama strikes as Gohan gets snatched by the enemy while retrieving the healing beans. Luckily, Piccolo swoops in just in time to save Gohan. What follows is a slick 1-on-3 fight which sports some really nice animation and choreography. Piccolo is definitely putting in work, until Cooler knocks him out cold. Gohan gives Goku the last bean Yajirobe gave him, and now Goku is back on his feet. Now it's Goku versus Cooler, the real battle we've been waiting for. They seem evenly matched at first, until Cooler transforms into his final form. The fight's non-stop hype from here, and a major standout moment being Cooler flying untouched through a Kamehameha, which is just crazy. But Goku refuses to take this L, ascending the Super Saiyan to turn the tables. After an intense back and forth, Goku overpowers Cooler's massive death ball, ending him in epic fashion. With less focus on narrative and more on non-stop action and a killer soundtrack, Cooler's Revenge brings the hype. However, Goku's character portrayal is a little off in this movie. Nitpicks aside, this is a fan favorite amongst the Dragon Ball movies, and it's a lot of fun to watch. While Tree of Might still edges it out slightly in my book, I'd give this flick a 6.5 out of 10. Now, the Return of Cooler movie opens with the squad touching down on New Namek, only to discover a massive, ominous machine dominating the landscape. Once confronted, an army of Cooler's robotic clones emerge to battle the Z-Fighters, while Goku seeks out the source of this threat. The squad has some entertaining scraps with the Robo troops, filled with light-hearted jokes and gags. But the real hype is Goku versus the newly improved Cooler. However, unlike their epic first showdown, this time Goku is clearly outmatched even as a Super Saiyan with instant transmission. Cooler is straight clowning, calling instant transmission his favorite move as he thrashes Goku. With Goku on the verge of defeat, Vegeta suddenly arrives out of nowhere as a Super Saiyan as well. It's never explained how he reached New Namek, but his cameo was nice to see. However, both Goku and Vegeta get tossed around. At this point, Goku and Vegeta are desperate. In a last-ditch effort, Goku and Vegeta combine their full power for an all-out attack that finally brings Cooler down. But just when it seems they've won, the camera pans to reveal row upon row of active Coolers. There's thousands more where he came from. We get an iconic shot of Goku and Vegeta refusing to give up and ready to face insurmountable odds together. Unfortunately, the tide is too much, as they eventually get restrained and drained of their energy by the real Cooler. who's been controlling it all from a remote location. In classic villain fashion, Cooler gets drunk on power, sapping too much energy at once and critically overloading his systems. With the last bit of strength they have left, Goku and Vegeta blast Cooler into oblivion once and for all. While Return of Cooler delivers some memorable moments, especially the Goku-Vegeta team-up, the plot feels disjointed compared to the tighter original. Gone is the bone-chilling vibe of Final Form Cooler, replaced by a mess of robots. The soundtrack also downgrades significantly. Overall, I'd rate this sequel a 5.5 out of 10. Interesting ideas with some cool fights, but lacking the awe-inspiring impact of Cooler's revenge. The Super Android 13 movie starts with recreating the iconic scene of androids 17 and 18 killing Dr. Gero, nicely animated with a stylish art style. After some light-hearted hanging with the squad, 2 new android threats emerge, heading straight for our heroes. Before long, Goku and Trunks are confronted by the deadly machines, plus a surprise appearance by the trucker hat-wearing Android 13. Outnumbered, Goku and Trunks attempt to take on the 3 androids in their normal states, but are clearly outmatched. Just when it seems hopeless, Vegeta makes a dramatic entrance, bursting out of an icy mountainside. He eventually goes Super Saiyan, inspiring Goku and Trunks to finally transform as well. With all 3 Super Saiyans now in the fray, the odds even out into a series of one-on-one matchups between the androids and heroes. Vegeta and Trunks both destroy their android opponents simultaneously, making Android 13 the last opponent. Capitalizing on his allies' demise, he absorbs key components from 14 and 15's remains, undergoing a nightmarish transformation. His resulting mutant design is a bit silly looking honestly, but proves to be his most powerful form yet. He disposes of everyone with Goku getting the worst of it. Android 13 ruthlessly beats down Goku, with one brutal combo sending him crashing down in pain. Badly wounded, Goku gambles on gathering energy for a spirit bomb. The squad buys him precious time facing off against 13. In a confusing but visually stunning moment, Goku absorbs the massive spirit bomb directly to amplify his own power, granting him the edge needed to defeat 13, and the movie ends off with this random yet funny scene. Gotta love the Piccolo and Vegeta duo. Overall, while the plot feels sparse and the villains underdeveloped, Super Android 13 still delivers some memorable moments like seeing the 3 Super Saiyans and the visual presentation of Goku absorbing the Spirit Bomb, even though it doesn't make too much sense. I'd give it a 5 out of 10. Alright, the legendary Super Saiyan. This movie needs no introduction for how iconic it is. It all kicks off when Goku gets a warning from King Kai about an evil, rampaging Super Saiyan out there. Such a sick concept given the popularity of the Super Saiyan form. We see Vegeta informed about this infamous Saiyan as well, taking us to new character Paragus and his son Broly. Their backstories are revealed, but the heroes don't know Broly is the legendary Super Saiyan, yet. While Vegeta searches for this Saiyan, we're introduced to enslaved alien creatures that foreshadows the twist later in the movie. Once Goku encounters Broly though, his hatred causes him to snap and attack Goku at night. This leads Goku to realize Broly is the Super Saiyan threat Vegeta's after. What follows is one of the most intense transformation sequences when Broly unleashes his power, the music amplifying the hype. Even the proud Vegeta is left frozen in place, trembling at the monstrous energy. Driven purely by his hatred of Goku, Broly goes on a terrifying rampage, hunting down Goku and Gohan until Trunks unites with them. Here, we see one of the most devious things I've seen a villain do.
I noticed that you love to look up in the sky at your silly old planet. You're probably dreaming you could go back there someday.
Immediately right after clotheslining Trunks, he asks Goku how much does he love his son. I'm not gonna lie, Broly is different for this. Despite their own Super Saiyan transformations, Broly annihilates the outmatched heroes, leaving them like this. Just when all hope seems lost, Piccolo provides Senzu Beans to get the fighters back on their feet. Together, they launch a coordinated attack, but even when ganging up on Broly, they're disposed of, with Piccolo getting punted away, which was hilarious seeing. We go back to Goku going against Broly, and I just noticed Broly said, "Is that another word for coffin?" after Goku asked him for a handicap. What's crazy is it's like a 1 versus 4 fight, and Goku is asking for a handicap. After this, Goku does one of his Kamehamehas and shoots it point blank, only for Broly to be unfazed. You know what, I can't blame Goku for asking for that handicap. But finally, Vegeta gets activated and joins the fight only for him to receive the same treatment Broly was giving Trunks. But after Broly deviously kills his own father, Goku tries fighting him again, only for Broly to demolish him even worse than before. He's literally jumping on Goku like a trampoline, just disrespectful. It's not until everyone gives their energy to Goku that Broly finally goes down with one punch. Honestly, after how they built up Broly as an unstoppable beast, it feels kind of crazy he lost to a single hit. He probably should have won here based on his prior domination. Nevertheless, with great animation, a chilling villain performance, and a score that amplifies all of the adrenaline-pumping action, Broly stands out as one of the greatest DBZ movies. It delivers on everything that makes Dragon Ball Z exciting and iconic. The only real flaw is Broly's thin motivation to kill Goku, and possibly the punch at the end. Otherwise, this is an easy 8 out of 10. Next is Bojack Unbound. It opens with a fun intergalactic tournament, entertainingly pitting the Z-Fighters against each other, while also delivering some solid laughs. The Tien vs Trunks fight was dope, and Krillin vs Piccolo had me cracking up. Off to a good start. This fun battle royale format provides great setup for the stakes about to be raised. As the Z-Fighters pair off planetside against unknown alien opponents, expectations are subverted when they are ambushed by the sinister Bojack and his gang of pirates. First up is Krillin versus the lone female fighter, which we know by now is always a bad formula for my man. Trunks and Gohan fare better in their initial one-on-one fights, with Trunks managing to defeat his foe, only to be immediately jumped by the ruthless Bojack. It's here that King Kai fills us in on Bojack's backstory and how he got free. With Gohan, Tien, and Yamcha teaming up now, we finally see the full evil crew emerge, along with Bojack himself. Yamcha and Tien get disposed of real quick, unfortunately, not even putting up a fight. This forces Gohan to go Super Saiyan against steep odds. He's eventually overwhelmed, but Piccolo comes through in the clutch, only to also get folded quick. Starting to notice a pattern here? Finally, Vegeta dramatically arrives, but starts randomly blasting buildings alongside Bojack. Not a good look for the prince, as we all know what happens when Vegeta spams ki blasts. Both Vegeta and Trunks soon get taken out too, leaving Gohan alone in a 1 versus 4 fight. They overpower him and sadistically start crushing him until Goku instant transmissions in, urging Gohan to unleash his full power. His raw power upon transforming into Super Saiyan 2 takes out 2 foes instantly, a crowd-pleasing payoff. But then Bojack weirdly finishes off his own teammate, which makes 0 sense. I never understood why he did this. This squanders any strategic advantage and underscores Bojack's ultimate undoing, his arrogance. The climax comes with Gohan and Bojack doing a beam clash and run at each other for the finish. Overall, a fun movie carried by Team Gohan going ham one last time. The downtime humor and surprise elements keep things also fun. There's some bizarre plot choices, but still a solid 7 out of 10 experience. Here's Broly Second Coming. This sequel kicks off with Goten, Trunks, and Videl searching for Dragon Balls, leading them to a village plagued by a destructive monster. They set up a trap for the monster, which leads to Goten crying. Very conveniently enough, Broly hears this while frozen in ice. Ridiculous, I know, but they take down the dinosaur monster and get the Dragon Ball. Videl conveniently stumbles upon a frozen Broly the next day. Videl is somehow able to stay alive long enough before the boys step in. What follows is an overly long cat-and-mouse game of Trunks distracting Broly while Goten looks for Dragon Balls. The shtick goes on for like most of the movie, and it gets old after a while. Eventually, the kids are outmatched, leading to Gohan stepping in to throw down in an intense one-on-one fight. The fight choreography shines as the highlight of the film. But Gohan perplexingly tries drowning Broly in lava, which obviously fails to finish the hulking Saiyan. An enraged Broly returns to sadistically crush Gohan, a common theme for Dragon Ball Z villains against him. In one of the most absurd plot conveniences ever, the Dragon Balls randomly roll together during the battle, letting Goten simply wish Goku there despite no dragon being summoned. This leads to the epic family Kamehameha clash, which admittedly is an iconic moment, but the logic of their narrow victory makes little sense. Broly's blast clearly overpowers them until one wayward shot from Trunks throws him off, somehow costing Broly control and the whole fight. Broly should have won this confrontation too. Overall, a major step down from the first Broly outing. It leans too heavily on coincidences and repetitive gags while shortchanging the story, but the Gohan fight scene and family Kamehameha ending make it decent nostalgic fun. I'd give Broly Second Coming a 5.5 out of 10. Next is Bio Broly, the final film featuring the iconic legendary Super Saiyan villain. Since I've never seen this film, I went into this one with low expectations based on criticisms I'd heard, and unfortunately, those were validated. However, the goodwill built up by this connecting tissue is soon squandered. The pace slows to a crawl, indulging in dull world building and meandering hijinks with young Goten and Trunks that feel like filler rather than charm. We're finally introduced to the new Bio Broly after slogging through multiple drawn-out scenes. This version is essentially Broly as a semi-liquid mutant, lacking the imposing presence of the original. The resulting fights are mostly mediocre and forgettable. There are some brief highlights like Trunks utilizing the surrounding acid against Bio Broly. An overly long sequence of acid slowly engulfing the area really drags. Bio Broly returns for a final giant form emergence, but the complete lack of buildup robs the scene of any impact before he's anticlimactically solidified and defeated. Without the original emotional stake or characterization, this incarnation feels hollow. Overall, this is definitely one of the weaker DBZ films in my opinion. Anything unique like the acid is squandered. Most of the runtime is aimless filler, and Bio Broly completely fails to captivate like prior versions. With none of the core qualities that made Broly engaging the first two times around, Bio Broly earns its reputation as an utterly skippable entry in the franchise. Gotta agree with the critics on this one and give it a 3 out of 10 rating. Now, after one of the worst Dragon Ball movies, we get one of the best, Fusion Reborn. The film opens up by interweaving events, bridging the realms of the dead and the living. An ordinary boy finds himself transformed into the demonic Janemba, setting the stage for Goku's heroic arrival. Their long-awaited showdown commences with a thrilling yet curiously playful energy, like mythic titans sizing one another up. Once Janemba fully unleashes his reality-distorting powers, his childlike approach to combat evokes memories of Majin Buu's whimsical chaos. Janemba begins stylistically manipulating the battlefield to his advantage, opening mystic portals through dimensional voids to disorient Goku's senses. Their exhilarating combat unfolds like an elaborate cosmic dance, with Janemba even mimicking Goku's iconic Kamehameha blast using a warped magical copy. The action builds to one of the best transformations, Goku going Super Saiyan 3, bellowing a guttural scream in unison with a soaring orchestral score. This remains one of Dragon Ball's most celebrated and impactful transformations. Newly empowered, Goku overpowers Janemba in a well-choreographed sequence portraying their exhilarating battle. But Janemba reveals one final sinister trick, transforming into an even more formidable state himself, taking on a sleek demonic design brimming with menace. The animation quality soars thanks to Tadayoshi Yamamuro's work with dynamic combat animation at electrifying speed, with bone-rattling physical impacts. Janemba seizes the advantage using warp techniques and a reality-rending sword to press Goku to his limits. Just when all seems lost, Vegeta heroically leaps into the fray to save his rival. Vegeta always has these cool entrances, and this is no exception. But, well, Vegeta doesn't get to shine for long and ends up losing pretty quickly, like he often does in these movies. But to me, this is where we get one of the best parts about this movie, the dynamic between Goku and Vegeta. His rivalry-turned respect with Goku is touchingly portrayed as they reconcile to fuse into Gogeta. Gogeta's ultra-confident arrival, set to a rousing score, cements him as an instant, enduring fan favorite despite limited screen time. His systematic demolition of Janemba is gloriously animated before concluding with the rainbow-hued Stardust Breaker, purifying Janemba's corrupted soul. While the spectacular action entertains, the true heart of the film resides in Goku and Vegeta's poignant final conversation, summarizing their profound journey together.
Vegeta, thanks.
For what? I should be thanking you, Kakarot.
Nah, what do you mean? I loved every minute. Goodbye, my friend.
Their hard-won bond gives deeper meaning to the combat. A true classic that stands the test of time. Definitely a 9 out of 10 movie. Now, for Wrath of the Dragon. This movie is probably the best written story out of the original Z movies. It opens with light-hearted Great Saiyaman antics before Gohan and Videl meet a mysterious man threatening to jump. After talking him down, he recounts the legend of Tapion, an ancient warrior sealed away inside a mysterious box. What follows are fun adventures collecting the Dragon Balls until Tapion is finally released in an atmospheric scene. However, he's initially upset they open the seal. Later on, Gohan and Videl run into the bottom half of Hirudegarn. Gohan powers up into his ultimate form and takes down the threat, but it disappears. Now, the story devotes time to bond Trunks and the somber Tapion, like Trunks bringing him food and choosing to give him his instrument over the other guy later. Despite the condensed runtime, their emotional bond feels meaningful and pivotal. Tapion's tragic backstory and about Hirudegarn being sealed in him earns empathy, and Bulma tries constructing a new seal, unsuccessfully. With both halves reunited, Hirudegarn emerges as a hulking, sinister threat, systematically taking down our heroes, even Vegeta, who comes late to the party. This forces Goten and Trunks to fuse, and Gotenks seems to be beating him until he comes out of his damaged husk, emerging as an even greater threat. However, Tapion is able to reseal him. His heart-wrenching request for Trunks to kill him to stop Hirudegarn permanently is a dramatic high point, with Trunks unable to harm his friend, which frees Hirudegarn once again. This forces Goku to transform into a Super Saiyan 3.
Fight me, if you're ready to die.
He exploits the villain's weakness and vanquishes him spectacularly with the Dragon Fist. With a compelling narrative, emotional stakes, gorgeous animation, and a great soundtrack, Wrath of the Dragon stands out as having one of the most fully realized plots in Dragon Ball Z movie history, easily worthy of a 9 out of 10 rating. Next is Battle of Gods, and it's one of the best Dragon Ball movies ever. Some may even say it's the best, but me personally, it's my second favorite. The movie begins with reanimated scenes from Goku's past. However, through the Supreme Kais, we are made aware of an ominous threat. Next, Whis and Beerus are properly introduced as all-powerful gods, seeking the legendary Super Saiyan God form. They decide to pay a visit to the Saiyans, and Goku is the first up. After Goku tells him he doesn't know anything about the legend, he challenges Beerus to a duel. Here, Beerus effortlessly defeats a powered-up Goku on King Kai's planet, showcasing divine power on a scale beyond anything witnessed before. The stark difference in their levels makes the threat feel real and terrifying. After King Kai hurriedly warns Vegeta, we get hilarious hijinks of the supporting cast with Vegeta desperately trying to keep the temperamental Beerus appeased until Boo's pudding fiasco pushes things into chaos. Seeing Beerus casually swat aside a powered-up Ultimate Gohan and effortlessly clown Gotenks drives home the grim situation and dim odds with chilling effectiveness. Vegeta briefly rallies to new heights upon seeing Bulma hurt, but is clearly still utterly outmatched by the God of Destruction. With all other options exhausted, only the legendary Super Saiyan God ritual remains to turn the tables. After clarifying the requirements, the ritual is finally successful in unlocking Goku's awe-inspiring new form with its divine Crimson Aura. The following battle that erupts between Goku and Beerus is visually spectacular, taking them across land and sky with incredibly fluid and impactful choreography captured by dynamic camera work worthy of the big screen. Their struggle progressively escalates to cosmic scale, taking them from a show-stopping clash deep underground. Once they start fighting underground, Goku reverts from his god form back into his base state. However, he's still putting up a good fight, not realizing that he's absorbed the power into himself. Here, we get my favorite scene in the movie.
I will not let you destroy my world!
This moment was so hype, and the soundtrack Hero accompanying the scene has to be the best OST in the series. Here, Beerus threatens Earth's continued existence by firing a planet-destroying blast for Goku to counter, but he can't withstand it for long. However, with the thoughts of his loved ones, Goku finds the inner strength to summon the Super Saiyan God power once more, defusing Beerus' deadly attack. This demonstration of character growth and overcoming the odds for his loved ones gives the action deeper meaning. Their final grounded conversation ends things on a graceful, introspective note between the two warriors, who have reached new understandings. With gorgeously cinematic animation, humor that consistently lands, godly fight sequences, and genuine emotional payoffs, Battle of Gods succeeds on every level, redefining expectations for the storied franchise. It's an easy 10 out of 10 achievement for DBZ's triumphant return. Now, the last Dragon Ball Z movie, Resurrection F. It starts with Frieza's loyal underlings using the Dragon Balls to revive and heal their fallen leader. Frieza's dramatic reintroduction, set to his chilling theme song, brings an instantly menacing and foreboding tone. Seeking vengeance against the Super Saiyans who humiliated him, Frieza undergoes intense training to unlock new levels of power. Once ready, he heads straight for Earth, prepared to finally settle the score. Meanwhile, Goku and Vegeta are training under Whis, sporting slick new combat attire. Whis enlightens them on their core weaknesses, Goku being too relaxed and letting his guard down, foreshadowing troubles to come, and Vegeta still living with a chip on his shoulder. When Frieza eventually arrives, his army clashes with the Z-Fighters in some pretty decent skirmishes before Goku and Vegeta steal the show. Their long-awaited rematch quickly builds to the unveiling of their flashy new Super Saiyan Blue and Golden Frieza forms through an exchange of escalating transformations. The fight choreography pops with devastating attacks and speedy exchanges, if you can overlook some distracting CGI moments. Goku gains the upper hand as Frieza's stamina burns out too quickly in his new unmastered form. But a cheap shot from Sorbet leaves Goku mortally wounded, subverting expectations. This finally allows Vegeta to take center stage, tapping into his immense frustration to pummel Frieza into submission with ruthless Super Saiyan Blue power. Seeing Vegeta's style on Frieza was satisfying to see, but what's not satisfying is the ending. The story robs Vegeta of his win, with Frieza blowing up the Earth, which leads to Whis rewinding time for Goku to win instead. Vegeta should have gotten this win. Overall, Resurrection F was really fun when I first saw it in theaters, a bit nostalgic as the first new DBZ movie on the big screen. However, it doesn't retain that enjoyment after all these years. Each time I revisit it, I get less and less out of the experience. At this point, it's definitely the weakest of the 4 modern DBZ movies. I'd give it an 8.5. I don't hate it, and it's better than most of the classic DBZ films, but Resurrection F just can't compare to the best movies in the franchise. It lacked the lasting impact to truly stand out. And that wraps up all the Dragon Ball Z movies. Let me know what your favorite movie out of the bunch was, but if you enjoyed this video, remember to like and subscribe. Also, check out my other videos. See you there.